So, listen to this. A guy made $19 million from pieces of human skin he was supposed to throw in the trash. And the crazy part? The guy was a trusted skin cancer doctor, and that skin belonged to over 1,000 of his own patients. The story starts here, in Roslyn, New York, a fancy suburb, and at the top of the medical food chain is Dr. Michael Rosin. This guy isn't just any doctor. He's a top-tier dermatologist, a specialist, the guy you go to when you get the worst possible news. When another doctor looks at you and says, "You have skin cancer," and Rosin, he's the master of this miracle procedure called Mohs surgery. It's the gold standard. When you have cancer on your face, on your nose, or your eyelid, you don't want a guy who just carves a huge chunk out. No, you want a surgeon like Rosin. He's an artist, a sculptor. He goes in and he shaves off the thinnest possible layer of skin where the cancer is. Just a sliver. Then he takes that sliver, puts it on a slide, and checks it under a microscope right then and there. If he still sees cancer cells, he shaves off another sliver and another until the sample is totally clean. The result is amazing. The cancer is gone and you have the smallest possible scar. For people terrified of being disfigured, Dr. Rosin is a savior. He's the guy who saves their face, who saves their life. He's got the perfect reputation, the busy office, the whole deal. He's trusted. He's the authority. He's the last person on earth you would ever question. But that's where the scam begins. And bro, it is a work of genius. A whole-ass masterclass in criminal thinking. Okay, so look, here's how the Mohs surgery is supposed to get paid for. The government, Medicare, they see it as two completely separate jobs. Job one is the surgery itself, the cutting. That's what Dr. Rosin is supposed to do. And he bills for that. That's his job. Job two is the pathology, the part where someone checks the skin slivers under the microscope. That is supposed to be done by a completely separate person, a pathologist, in a separate laboratory. That pathologist then sends their own separate bill to Medicare. Two jobs, two bills, two people. That's the rule. But Dr. Rosin looks at this rule and sees a loophole. He sees a gold mine. And he thinks, wait a second. I'm already looking at the slides myself to guide the surgery. What if I just pretend? What if I do the cutting and then I do the lab work, but I tell Medicare that two different people did it? What if I bill them for the surgery and then I fill out a whole other set of forms, pretending to be a separate pathology lab and bill them for that too? He is literally billing the government as two different people at the same time, for the same procedure. He's the surgeon, and he's the lab coat guy. He's Dr. Rosin, and he's also Rosin Labs, a fake entity he completely invents. It's a ghost, a phantom company that exists only on paper. And every single time he performs one surgery, he gets to double dip. He gets paid twice. And this isn't some small-time hustle. He's not just doing this every now and then. He turns it into a factory, a money-printing machine running on his patient's trust. He does this for years. He does it on patient after patient after patient. Think about the scale of this. He isn't just fudging one or two reports. He is creating thousands of completely fake lab reports for every single sliver of skin. He's creating a paper trail for a ghost lab that doesn't exist. The feds eventually tallied it up. This guy submitted over 86,000 false claims. He did this to more than 1,400 different patients. Men and women who came to him terrified, trusting him with their lives, and he's in the back room forging documents to squeeze a few extra $100 out of their fear. And those few $100 start to add up. They add up fast. Over the years, this little ghost lab, this phantom billing scheme, it nets Dr. Rosin $19 million, 19 million taxpayer dollars stolen. And what do you do with $19 million you scammed from the sick and the elderly? You live a whole-ass different life. My guy isn't just living comfortably. He's living like a king. He buys a monster mansion in Old Westbury, New York. We're not talking a nice house. We are talking a sprawling $3.5 million estate in one of the richest towns in the country. This is a place with massive gates, long winding driveways, and neighbors who have last names you've definitely heard of. This is generational wealth territory. And he just buys his way in with dirty money. And then there are the cars, a fleet of luxury whips, a Porsche, a Maserati. The kind of stuff you see in music videos. He's funding this entire fantasy lifestyle by taking advantage of the most vulnerable people imaginable. Every single day he drives that Maserati down his long private driveway. He's literally driving on the profits of his lies. But here's the thing about a scam this big, a lie this massive. It's heavy, and you can't carry it alone forever. Eventually, it gets so big and so bold that someone is going to notice. And someone does. We don't know who it was. An employee in the office, maybe. Someone who was processing the paperwork and saw the same name on the surgeon line and the pathology line one too many times. Someone who saw the thousands of reports going out to this ghost lab and finally realized it was all a lie. But somebody on the inside saw what was happening, and they freaked. They knew it was wrong, and they did the one thing that can bring a whole empire like this crashing down. They made a phone call, an anonymous tip. And suddenly, Dr. Rosin isn't just a rich doctor anymore. He's a target, a name on a whiteboard in a federal building. The Department of Health gets the tip. The FBI gets looped in. And these guys, they don't mess around. They start digging. Real quiet at first. They pull his billing records from Medicare, and they see it. Thousands and thousands of payments going to Dr. Rosin, the surgeon. And thousands more going to Rosin Labs, the pathologist. Same address. The red flags are screaming. So now the real investigation begins. And it is a sight to behold. Federal agents start poring over every single piece of paper from his office. They are interviewing every single person who ever worked for him. Nurses, assistants, front desk staff. They are asking one simple question. Where is the lab? Can you show us the separate pathology lab? And of course, nobody can. Because it doesn't exist. They seize his computers. They get warrants for his bank accounts. They are building a mountain of evidence so high that he will never be able to climb over it. They can see the money flowing from the government straight into his accounts. Funding the mansion, funding the Maserati. They match the fake lab reports to the illegal payments. Every single one. They have everything. The whole house of cards is wobbling, ready to collapse, and then it does. The feds move in. Dr. Rosin gets hit with a federal indictment, 86 counts of healthcare fraud. The trial isn't even a battle. It's a demolition. The prosecution lays out the whole scheme piece by piece. The fake lab, the double billing, the $19 million, the mansion, the lies. His defense? There is no defense. The evidence is just too overwhelming. The verdict comes back, guilty, on all counts, and the hammer comes down, hard. First, the sentence. The judge sends him to prison. He swaps his multi-million-dollar mansion for a concrete cell. Second, the money. The court orders him to pay back every single cent. The full $19 million in restitution, all the profits from the scam, gone. And third, the final nail in the coffin. The state of New York permanently revokes his license to practice medicine. He can never be a doctor again. He can never cut or treat or even wear a white coat ever again. It's all over. And so in the end, after all the years of being a trusted healer, after all the lies, after the $19 million, and the fancy cars and the sprawling mansion built on the fears of the sick, this is what he was left with. This is the final bill.